Tom Hughes here from Gambadox, and I flew all the way across the Atlantic to meet this man, Brian Meyers. Brian's done over 1,000 Kanbans in about 4 months, and we want to learn the story behind that. So Brian, why more than 1,000 Kanbans? What benefits are you getting from that?
So when you have a Kanban card, you actually have all of the information you need, whether that's a reorder or a creation for a job, right on the card. And it allows you to manage all of your inventory, whether it's internal manufactured inventory or purchased inventory, so that you're not running out and you're predicting the levels that you need, so that you always have what you need to create the products and help the customer get what they order.
So essentially you're using it to manage all your inventory and to pull your production. It's your production system, a lot of it.
Yep, yeah, we do have an ERP system. As many people know, with a forecasting system, it often pushes way too much inventory on you, the wrong inventory. So we're using it alongside the ERP system to actually give us the correct things that we should be making and making sure we have the right inventory, not the wrong inventory.
Super. Well, let's come and look at your system.
Yeah, let's take a look. So we're in an area that Tom would refer to as a supermarket. Not here in the United States, we call this inventory. What I have here is a single bin that we're using as a 2-bin system. So we have inventory in the front, inventory in the back. 1 week of inventory in the front, 1 week inventory in the back, and then a Kanban card to pull to actually make more of these bulk packs. As you can see here, we're using this Pan American topper. It allows us to access this underneath inventory. You have to remove the lid to actually remove the Kanban to turn it in.
That's really neat.
Then from there, the inventory would come forward. This would be here in the back, like so. And then we would take this card over there and we'll go show you how we do that. So a bulk pack Kanban is pulled and it's returned over here. And this is actually where we're actually producing the bulk pack. As you can see here, Brian behind me, he's actually pulling the stuff to actually make the bulk packs to then return the Kanban card and the inventory back over there so that when the shipping department needs it, it's ready for them.
So Brian, show me what's on these cards.
Okay, so for on this card here, we have the part number for what it is, and then we actually have an order win and an order quantity telling us how many to make. On the back of the card, we have a QR code that allows us to go right into Gambadox to an SOP that shows Brian how to actually put this bulk pack together. So we have all the instructions we need to make the correct bulk pack, then return over to inventory.
So beautiful. Essentially, all the information Brian needs to know what to do, how many to do, and how to do it is on that card.
That's right there.
So Brian, show me, what is a true 2-bin system?
A true 2-bin system is actually having inventory in a front bin as well as a secondary bin. For example, I have all the inventory I need here, as you can see here. And then behind that, when that inventory runs out, you can pull forward and you have another bin with the inventory. Inside of here, you have a Kanban card. The Kanban card is for a reorder. So this is something that we don't actually make here internally. So this is an external Kanban card.
For the purchasing person, they know all the part numbers, both your part number, the supplier part number, where it's going, who the supplier is, how many they need to order, the delivery time they can expect, and then they have all the information here to not make a mistake. In fact, I can see here they've got 2 suppliers. So scan that or that.
Right.
Everything you need, all here.
Yep. And then when the inventory returns, what they do is they actually fill up the bin, and then the 2-bin system just goes right back in.
Super. So Brian, how did you decide which areas within the factory to roll out first?
So this was our first ever real lean tool that we used, and we used it in our 2-bin system for our bulk pack bolts, because that was somewhere we ran out all the time. So we rolled it out there, and it was a lot of work. But it has got us to the point where we're not actually running out of product. From there, we decided to try to implement it into some of our production processes that we remake the same parts over and over and over again. And once we got it rolling there, we decided to step it up again and start using it for more production, including all the stuff that we're manufacturing and putting in inventory.
So can we have a look at the different kind of cards that you're using?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's an example of a Kanban card that we're using for production. And what we have on the back is we have a QR code that'll scan to put the parts into our laser. And then this one here actually is for the packaging. On the front, this is the barcode that I talked to you about. We're using this to scan into our ERP system with a 2D scanner. And because of that, Tom and Gambadox has made an upgrade. So you can see here's the Kanban card. You flip it over, we still have the same QR codes, but now we have the barcode built right into the Kanban card.
So you guys just put in the alphanumeric
number, yep, and then it prints us the barcode. No extra step, no over processing. It's super cool.
But it is really typical of how we work with our customers who are really getting into Gambadox. so much of our improvements are pulled from our customer base, and we're very proud of it.
Here's an example of an external, which means this is something that we're purchasing and bringing into our building. We're using blue for that, as you can see here. Shows a picture of the part number, where we're buying it from. This one we're getting from Amazon, the quantity that we need to order, when we order, when to reorder, and then on the back, you can scan this, and this allows you to go right to the Amazon website and order the part.
So Brian, I've noticed these yellow and red dots around your warehouse racks. What do they mean?
So this is a good way for us to have a control. So what we're doing here is yellow means that we actually need to do an engineering update on this part, but we want to use the inventory we have because it's not a critical thing. Now what red means is this: when this runs out, we're done. We're discontinuing this part. So that allows us to know that when they turn these cards in, the person that's managing these cards will know what these mean and make sure that the next step happens. A lot of times you can miss being able to make these engineering changes on the fly, and this gives you a real easy way to do that.
So Brian, at last count, we're at about 1,148 Kanbans. I just checked. Who created all those? How did you go about the actual process of getting them all in place?
Step one, we actually created an SOP on how to create a Kanban, which then included the colors, the color codes for everything, the information that was mandatory, stuff like that. From there, it just became who was working on what project. Really, there's probably 4 of us or 5 of us that created all those Kanbans based on which area and which project we were working on. Obviously, Emily in purchasing, with all the external things that we had not been able to track in an ERP system, she's been going crazy getting that stuff onto Kanban so that we're not running out of it.
So Brian, how did you decide the reorder points and the order quantities? How did you work that out?
We've been using the ERP system for almost 8 years. So we have so much data that we can track. So basically what we're doing is we're pulling, give us quantities, the last 12 months of each part, and then we have a spreadsheet. So it's pretty easy for us to go through. But what we're doing is we're doing 2 weeks inventory. So 1 week and 1 week, one is a pull, right? Because 5 days to return. So we're doing 2 weeks inventory on hand on a lot of our stuff. And some things, depending on purchasing quantities, you may have to up that number, right? You may have a bulk that you have to buy in quantities of 50, and you can't buy 22 of them. So you're going to have to hold 50 and 50, which may be more than 2 weeks inventory. So that's one way. You really need to know how much you're selling of stuff. So anywhere that you can get that information is going to help you when you're trying to establish your Kanban counts.
For your production items, has changeover times or anything affected what your batch sizes would be?
Well, as we've tried to go to one piece flow, we've really eliminated the batching in general. So some of our stuff, there's certain products that we might make 16 of because the Kanban is for 16. So sure, it's not a true one piece flow, but we may be building 16 and 16, which is like 32 products in stock. But that's as close as you're going to get. The whole idea with this is make the product flow, not necessarily worry about it being one individual piece.
I'm not worried too much about the precision around all of that, because once you've got the system in place, you can tune it.
Absolutely.
So some of these parts transitioned out of being managed by your ERP system into the Kanban system. How did you manage that transition?
We actually just turn off MRP for the products that we now have on Kanban. So when the ERP is processing every night, it's no longer giving us suggestions for the parts that we have on Kanban. The other thing too is once the system is getting inventory and it's counting the inventory on hand, it no longer is telling you to make stuff because it knows you have it on hand. But you do need to turn that off if you're using MRP. We still use MRP for about half of our product right now. So we still need to have that visual space to know what and how to make right now as that stuff becomes make to order.
And for the guys in production, when you went from MRP triggers to Kanban cards, was there like hundreds of cards coming in a day?
Yes. So the biggest issue is we historically have never stocked the inventory. So now when we all of a sudden introduce, 700 parts, and now there's 4 of this and 4 of that, so there's 8 of this part, but you're doing that times 5, 6, 700 Kanban cards. Now you have this influx of product that you need to build to stock up all those shelves. So sure, initially it's crazy because every card that you're putting onto this rack, there's hardly any inventory. So next thing you know, you're pulling that card to send back, and hey Bryce, can you make more of this? Can you make more of this? So it's been a real challenge for him to figure out when and how to work those things in without trying to disrupt the way that we've built stuff to order for the longest time.
I get it. So that, let's say, new inventory is less of a priority in the production. So the real needed for a customer is this is coming second as you're building up that inventory.
Yep, exactly. And then as the we're in a really heavy season part right now. Black Friday, November, people are buying like crazy. So now's not a really good time to be building a bunch of inventory for stock. So once we get through this and everything starts to calm down, we can then start pushing that stuff up, which will actually give us level loading, which is something we're trying to get rid of. Have evenness in our flow by allowing us to get this thing pulled, but we're only creating what the customer's pulling. We're no longer having a ERP system try to forecast that we need to make something and then end up with a bunch of inventory that we throw away because we didn't actually ever need it.
Brilliant. So Brian, you've got a few different ways of managing the Kanbans in production. Can you show us this one?
Yep. So what we have here is actually a custom dunnage bin that we are making the traveler for the Kanban. So we do have a Kanban card on here, but we leave the Kanban in there at all times. If they need to pull it out to look at it, it can be there, but it stays in here. And what happens is this bin actually travels from the point of use to where it starts again. So this one, for example, would go from fabrication, where these parts are being consumed, into the product, and then it would come back here to the saw. They would cut all the components out like this, and then from here, this would go into machining. They machine it, and then the bin goes back. So we have two bins, and the bins are always in rotation, making sure that we always have the inventory we need.
So Brian, what's that QR code for?
So this QR code is actually a link to the SOP. This one here is actually for the saw step to actually cut this to length. And then from there, they'll add the next one for the machining. We just haven't got there yet, as this has been something we've been rolling out. But then you're right in your bin, you can track all of the processes that you need to do and link those SOPs.
Wow. So Brian, tell me what you got going on here.
So right here is consumables that we're using. These are grinding discs, and these are the Kanbans, the picture of what it is, the part number, and then when we need to reorder, we can peel this off, send it up to have it reordered. One of the things when you have an ERP system, it's really hard to use consumables in an ERP system because in an ERP system, it wants to consume the parts. Yeah. So unless you're going to point this amount of a disc, you're never going to have it accurate. So this stuff has always had to live outside of an ERP system. And historically, we've been really bad at managing this. Mm-hmm. Somebody that's working in the cell would have to say, hey, I'm out of this. Find Emily to get it ordered. Instead, we can just pull this when it's time to pull it, send it up there, and we never run out. And the product can get to the customer so much faster.
This is the kind of thing that the runouts, the stock outs are causing big interruptions in
Absolutely. Yeah, you can let a $7 flap disc disrupt several $1,000s worth of order being processed today, and that's not what you want at all.
For me, this is a really great place to start off your system. So it's not production critical, but you're taking pain away and you're taking all of the noise out of the business just by putting this kind of stuff onto the Kanban.
It also does a really good job of training people how to use the Kanban because you're giving them, like you said, a pain point. So you're removing a pain point for them, but you're also showing them a tool on how to manage that. So when they understand the value of it, they start using it. And then from there, as you implement Kanban everywhere, they know what to do with it when it's time to do with it.
They know how the system works. Effectively, it's a training exercise as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So Brian, thanks so much. You've given us such a fantastic overview of your Kanban system. What's your future plans? What's next?
So for us, the next step is to get a lot of our large products that have long lead times onto Kanban. And so some of our products we have 6 to 8 week lead times on, and I would like to get that down to where we either have it in stock ready to ship, or worst case scenario, maybe it's 4 or 5 days. In a commodities market where everybody can make the same stuff, the things that are going to let you stand out are going to be that fast delivery. And then at that point, you can charge a premium on your product because you have it available. You can control your quality better than other people can, and you can push it through faster than anybody else can. So to be able to give visibility to the shop floor on what they're making and how to make it, streamline the whole process for us to then give a better product to the customer.
I think ultimately, this visit has helped me understand that a really well executed Kanban system is really there to support the customer and is an actual competitive advantage.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, why are we doing this? Well, we want shorter lead times, better stock availability, lower inventory ideally as well, and ultimately do a better job for the customer. Kanban's just a tool for that.
Yep.
So I came a long way to come and visit these guys in the state of Michigan, and I really got what I needed. And I hope you as the audience have learned new things about Kanban and what they can deliver for you and how to do it. Thanks for watching.